All right, good morning. Obviously changed. Tried to do a little makeup this morning. Hopefully a little bit better. Room's a little bit cleaner. Well, but still I have a fear. So we're going to just be safe so I don't infect any of you folks with this, whatever it is I have, virus, and do another part of this lecture online. I left yesterday talking briefly about the Brahms symphonies. I want to talk a little bit in detail about particularly symphonies number 1 and number 4. You have to learn all of them. And I put a link on Blackboard. I don't remember if it's under course documents or external links that you can actually listen to all 4 symphonies, all 4 movements of each one online. And you don't have to go through anything through school except for Blackboard. But you can copy the link and do whatever you want to do. So that should make it a lot easier for you. I don't know if you can download these links or not. I think they're MP3 files. But I'll leave that to you to discover because you probably know more about it than I do. Brahms' first symphony. We mentioned it briefly when we talked about Beethoven and another time, but it's a really important landmark event or watershed event in the life of Brahms. He had composed his variations on a theme by Haydn, which are opus 52A and B. I think it's 52, maybe 56. The two different versions, I keep doing it down here, 2 different versions are for one is for orchestra and one is for 2 people on 2 pianos. The public loved these works so much that they encouraged him. So where's your symphony, Brahms? We need your symphony now. We see what you can do with the orchestra. We want to hear a symphony. So he started a symphony and he chickened out. It became the Piano Concerto in D minor, which is close to a symphony, right? Because it's got the orchestra, but it's still got that dualism with the piano, so it's not exactly the same thing as a symphony. Finally, he composes his Symphony number 1 in his, I think, early 40s. The Symphony number 1 is in C minor, and when it was first heard, the critics said it's Beethoven's 10th, which of course really annoyed Wagner because Wagner wanted to be seen as the heir apparent to Beethoven, but Brahms took this mantle instead. When you listen to it, as you will, I want you to really think about how it sounds like Beethoven, particularly that the obvious connection is with Beethoven's 5th. The symphony begins in C minor, it ends in C major, as does Beethoven's. The middle movements are a little bit more distinctive. They don't quite follow the same models as Beethoven's, but nonetheless, that is the model. It opens with a really intense, slow introduction in the first movement. It's in sonata form, as all the Brahms first movements are, although with Brahms, instead of having theme 1 and theme 2, we have first theme group, second theme group. And these can also go through different keys. So you have this set of keys as opposed to this set of keys. So analyzing is a little bit tricky. It's one of those things, if you enjoy puzzles, you might want to try. Anyway, so the first movement, the slow introduction, there's a pedal point, which, as you recall, is a repeated bass pattern. As the chords change above it, there's a repeated bass pattern. A repeated bass note, as in the pedal of an organ. This causes a lot of tension because the bass is remaining static, but the harmony is changing above it. As I mentioned in the earlier lecture online, the strings have an ascending chromatic line. The winds have a descending chromatic line. So these are crossing. So you've got all the tension of the chromatic line in one part versus the tension in the other part on top of the tension created by the static bass. It's really intense, strong, heavy movement. Listen to it loud. And then you get some descending intervals. Da-dum, ba-dum. And you think, okay, it's just a link. But actually, it becomes a major part of the first theme when you get to the first theme proper. After the slow introduction, you do come to, when the double bar and the tempo changes, that's when you are in the sonata form proper. Listen for that. The last movement of this, I've got to sneeze again, excuse me. It'll come later. The last movement is one of my favorite symphonic movements of all time. I think I've told you when I feel like I need courage to do something, this is one of those pieces I play over and over because it really makes me feel like, yes, I can do it. Starts in C minor, has a very kind of creepy pizzicato section in the strings that speeds up. So when you listen to it with a score, you see stringendo, which means intensifying, getting faster. Accelerando, stringendo, pushing it forward. And then you all of a sudden get a really square main theme in C major. It used to be played on the ESPN University commercials. Da dum da da dee dum da dum ba da dum bum bum, and it's four square, not unlike the last movement of Beethoven's Ninth. Da 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 da. Very hymn-like. And Brahms plays with various things. There's this wonderful horn line that comes da da dum dum da da dum, and then the flutes overlay it, and everything comes back in this symphony. So when you're listening to this movement, listen to how he brings them back. And for me, the most exciting part is there's this great horn chorale section. It's only like 4 measures. Dum dum da dum dum da dum dum bum bum. 5 chord. Anyway. And you hear that early on in the introduction, and then I think for those people who don't know the symphony well, you kind of forget about it. And you hear all this other stuff, and then you hear the stringendo thing comes back. You hear the horn thing comes back, and this when it comes back at the end, it's overlaid, and the tension is just incredible because it's just stretching it out like stretto in a fugue, and really cool. And you think, oh man, I've heard everything, and then all of a sudden the brass comes in, and it's like trombone city, and just this incredible chord progression, chorale like 1, 2, 3, 4, like in the Mendelssohn Reformation, for example. And then it's coda to the end. And if you wait for that moment to come back, it really intensifies it. So I highly recommend that. I think I'll stop now, save this file, and go into the fourth.